Hi everyone, welcome to Insurance Lecture Part 5. My name is Rebecca and I am your insurance lady. And today I'm going to talk to you about insurable interest. Insurable interest is kind of what it says. If you have something that can be insured and you have an interest in it, then you would have an insurable interest. If something happened to an asset that you would suffer a loss, and you wanted to insure it, you would have insurable interest in that asset. So insurable interest exists when a person's interest in an asset could cause them to suffer a financial loss or another kind of loss. It has to exist at the time of application and at the time of loss. And I'm going to come back to that. So, in order for a person to have an insurable interest in a property, they have to have a legitimate concern in that property. So, based on what you know already, let's talk about my house. This is a house that I own. Do I have insurable interest in this home? Yes. Yes, because I own it. If something happened to this home, then I would suffer a financial loss. So I do have insurable interest in my own home. Now, what about my family who live in my home? Does my family, my kids, my husband, do they have insurable interest in my home? Absolutely. They have insurable interest in my home, even though they did not purchase the home, they live there and their personal property is in that home. And if the house burned down, that PS4 is gone. So that those expensive items that belong to the family in the home would be gone. They have an insurable interest, they have a vested interest in that home. Therefore, they can be insured, for because they are a family of that home. So, insurable interest. In order for a person to have an insurable interest in a property, they must have a legitimate financial concern in that property. For example, like we just talked about, people who have an insurable interest in a home are going to be the homeowners because those are the people who are financing the home. Something happens, they suffer loss. The family in the home, they have their personal property in that home. Something happens, they suffer a loss. The mortgage company, the lender, if something happens to that home and the homeowners are financing that home, the lender is concerned about getting their money back. So they may suffer a loss. So those are the parties who have insurable interests. Does my neighbor have insurable interest in my home? No, my neighbor does not have insurable interest in my home. So going back to insurable interest must exist at the time of application and at the time of loss. What does that mean? You have to have an insurable interest in an asset when you are applying for insurance. I cannot go down and grab my neighbor's car and say, hey, I want to put insurance on my neighbor's car just because I want to put insurance on my neighbor's car. It's not going to happen because there's no insurable interest. I have no interest. I don't drive my neighbor's car. I don't own it. There's nothing that ties me to suffering any type of financial loss if something had happens to that car. So I don't have insurable interest. It doesn't exist at the time of application. If my neighbor had insurance on their car and they sold the car to me, but they kept insurance on their car and I already purchased the car, got into an accident, if I go and file a claim under my neighbor's insurance policy, that insurance company is probably going to say no because insurable interest did not exist at the time of loss. Not me, but my neighbor. My neighbor did not have insurable interest for their old vehicle because it was no longer theirs. It did not exist at the time of loss, and therefore I should have gotten insurance on my vehicle that I purchased when I purchased it. Okay, so hopefully this helps you guys. This is my lecture number 5, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me. My email address is insuranceladypc@gmail.com. I look forward to seeing some emails in my inbox. And thank you again. My name is Rebecca, and I am your insurance lady.